The comparisons going around between Payton Thorne and Jalen Milroe, it's incredible.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby. And thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Our Tuesday afternoon show means we are joined by the Ben Taylor of Auburn Opelika this morning. We hopped on his show earlier this week. Here is that conversation.
Good for Andy Burcham. What a great couple of days he's had as a play-by-play guy Saturday and Monday.
Yeah, he's had some really cool opportunity to make some electric calls, no question about it. And like the booth cam that's set up in their box at Jordan Hare, caught a few pretty incredible ones. The Cam Coleman long touchdown catch, and then obviously the game winner. Pretty cool stuff. Good for Andy.
Andy and I never got that reaction doing Auburn Opelika this morning with him, with any of our guests that were on. So I'm glad to see that he's blossomed a little and he's broken his shell. I knew you'd appreciate that.
Have you seen all the stat comparisons going around between Payton Thorne and Jalen Milroe?
It's wild to me that there is a guy that's across the state that was considered a Heisman candidate the first, 4 or 5 games of the season.
Sure.
And when you put him up side by side against Payton Thorne, who the first 4 or 5 games of the season had 5-6 turnovers, and the stats are a little bit better for our guy instead of the guy across the state.
Yeah, and obviously we're talking just passing here. Milroe has like 600 rushing yards. Payton's got like 280 or something like that. But I mean, Payton's thrown for more, 24-12 to 23-96. And this is Payton not playing against New Mexico. Like he missed a game and a half. He missed the first half of Arkansas and then New Mexico. And so you just think about, add an extra 300 yards to it. And all of a sudden it's like he's 4th in the league in passing. Without that, he's 5th in the league in passing. He would pass Taylon Green if he had another game in front of him. But even the whole like turnover discussion now, it's like he's got less picks thrown than a lot of these guys that are leading the SEC in passing. So that's really gotten better over the course of the last month of the season, really since he got benched. And so props to Payton Thorne for Freeze talked about mental toughness at his presser on Monday. And this is a guy who got benched, who the fan base is saying crazy stuff about you, and he's just gone out and laid his body on the line every single week. It's props to Payton.
It says his teammates as well appreciate it. I mean, Jarquez Hunter was pretty adamant when Payton gave himself up to get that first down, and how it kind of rallies the guys when they see a guy doing something like that. I do like the fact, like you said, his resiliency, because Zach, I got to be honest with you, I was very proud of Payton. I've been very outspoken on Payton, especially on this show with you. And I've said that, why not build for the future and let the other guys go? I think he proved to me on Saturday why Hugh's been keeping him in there. But number 2, the one thing that I love seeing is after he did throw that interception, the defense stepped up and only allowed a field goal after that interception. The first series out after that, he still looked a little reluctant to get rid of the ball. But then afterwards, he started bouncing back and being Payton. And I don't think at the first of the year that would have happened. I think after that interception, we would have seen the turtle in Payton, where he would have kind of gone back in his shell a little bit and maybe been reluctant to throw a ball. I don't think he makes that throw in overtime across the middle to
KLS.
To KLS for the game winner. I don't think he makes that tight window throw earlier in the year after giving up an interception. That's just my opinion.
No, I think a lot of people echo that for sure. So the fact that Payton Thorne bounced back in the way that he did, incredible stuff. Now, his stats versus Jalen Milroe's stats.
Yeah.
Does it matter for Saturday? No, it doesn't. It's super fun to talk about. It's hilarious that Perry Thompson tweeted out the graphic of their stats side by side. Like, all of that is funny and it's great. And it echoes something that I discussed earlier in the day on this morning's edition of Locked On Auburn about how this freshman class isn't scared of Alabama. They want to go at them, and I think that's super important. And culturally, I think that matters. But as far as like the result on Saturday, it's not because it's not going to be impacted because Payton Thorne has more passing yards than Jalen Milroe.
No, because the X factor is what you just talked about a while ago. Milroe could get loose and get up chunks of yards or gather chunks of yards to help Alabama out and at least move the sticks. I mean, we saw that against Texas A&M with Auburn and when their quarterback got loose. And regardless if a guy's having a good game throwing, he did not do it against Oklahoma. They kind of kept him in check. I don't know if that's going to be Demarcus Riddick's job or not to keep him in check, kind of like what Oklahoma did with their star, I guess you could call it, or whatever position people like to refer to that as. That may be Riddick's job, and Riddick's got to back up what he said too when it comes to that, because he also proved that he's not very afraid of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Do you think Riddick is really faster than Jalen Milroe?
I kind of do. I don't think he would have said that if he didn't. I don't know how he knows that. And unless it's just 40 times alone is how he knows it.
I mean,
but
Riddick moves well, but Milroe is fast. He is very fast.
Riddick has proven. I mean, he ran that quarterback. He ran Texas A&M quarterback down from. I thought he was fairly fast. Now that could be because he's a little more shifty and a little smaller than Milroe. So, but yeah, I'm not going to argue with. Listen, with what he said to the media, I wouldn't want to meet Riddick in a dark alley. I think he got some dog in him, man. I don't know that was necessarily the smartest thing to do to throw that out there for the board.
I love it. I love all of it. I think it's great.
When players, everybody has brought my attention, Zach. Okay, so you guys ridiculed Elko when he said, we're focusing on Texas instead of Auburn, but you're not going to do it. And I said, well, first off, I'm not going to compare a 50-plus-year-old coach that has the experience to a 19-year-old kid that you ask, hey, do you think you can win against Alabama? And he says, yes. Now, did he go a little far with the Ryan Williams thing? Maybe. But then again, it ain't going to be his job to cover Ryan Williams, so he doesn't mean anything to him.
The difference is the players, which up to this point of this recording, it's DeMarcus, it's Cam, and it's Perry.
Yeah.
They're not like hiding it.
No.
Elko kind of hit it or attempted to. Or it's like, oh no, we're focused on Texas. I mean, Auburn. These guys aren't saying anything. Like they're saying very straightforward. Like, yeah, we think we're going to win. Yeah, we think we can contain Milroe. Yeah, Ryan Williams is whatever. Like I think it's very different. I agree with you.
Yeah. Getting back to the original question though, does it matter when you go back to Payton and to Milroe? I think the only stat in that matters is I think that who turns the ball over less, if at all, basically less mistakes, then that's where it matters. As far as yards, no, honestly, Auburn, you saw what Oklahoma did to Alabama. Payton could throw 12 passes and that'd be it. And 6 of those be check downs to somebody, or at least something quick just as an out, because Oklahoma proved that you can run the football on Alabama. So
yeah, to me, you run it. You run as much as you possibly can.
So yeah, the passing stats, no, they don't mean anything. And same thing from Alabama side. Yeah, he may go back to throw, but Milroe may have a heck of a day running the football on Auburn for all we know and not throwing the ball. Ryan Williams may not be a factor because if he breaks containment, he's going to take off.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Auburn basketball is absolutely cooking right now. That's next. Unlocked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Doesn't matter what it's for. Ben, can you imagine buying tickets anywhere else?
Only on Game Time.
Only on Game Time. Only on Game Time. Download the free app on your phone's app store. If you want to go check out the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa, Game Time's going to give you the best option to do that from a price standpoint. So head over to the Game Time app. Once again, it's free on your phone's app store. They've got all-in pricing. If you toggle that feature, you can see the views from your seats. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Download Game Time, create an account, use code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. Create an account and redeem code LOCKDOWNCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Ben, what time is it?
Game time!
Let's go. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Ben, unless it's moved, and I don't think it has, the line for Auburn is still plus 11.5 in the Iron Bowl. It has not moved. Still 11.5. I think that's too many. I think it should be a single-digit number. I think I would feel better if it was 8, 7, or 8. But Auburn plus 11.5. I think I'm taking Auburn. Plus
I would take Auburn in that, yes. Just because of what I saw in the run game, what we just talked about, I think Jarquez and Damari end up having a fairly decent game on the ground. I think that also slows the game down, and I'm with you. Single digits. Now, am I picking Auburn or Alabama? I don't know. We shall see. But I would definitely take Auburn and the points with FanDuel, who, shout out to them, my buddy won on the Auburn second half. He is not an Auburn fan, but he said, hey, I bet Auburn second half plus 12.5 in their basketball game against Iowa State. He said, I closed the computer and went to bed, and I woke up a winner. So he got that from FanDuel.
I love that.
He sent me the screenshot. Good for him.
Good for him. Hey, right now, new customers can bet $5. You get $150 in bonus bets if you win. That's over at FanDuel.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first or second listen every single day. Ben Taylor of Auburn Opelika this morning hanging out with us. Auburn basketball, I mean, obviously what they did against Iowa State was truly incredible. And you couple that with what they did against Houston, because the flow of the game was kind of similar. They fell into a larger hole against Iowa State, but obviously, they came back and they were down with a few minutes left to go in the game, and they found a way to win. Just looking at these two games specifically, it's got to give you a great feeling. One, going into conference play in a few weeks, but just those felt like Elite Eight caliber basketball games. And when March rolls around and you're kind of used to this setting, I think Auburn's going to be in a really good spot, Ben.
I do. The one thing that sticks out in my mind on social media after or during that Iowa State game, or actually afterwards, Jimmy Dykes, who does a lot of color commentary, he had tweeted out, he said, go ahead and pencil Auburn in as being one of the top seeds of the NCAA tournament based on their 5-game resume alone. And so he's already willing to put them in there. This is what we talked about quad one wins. Zach, I got to be honest with you, going into this, I just was hoping there would be a good showing. It's out in Maui. You're doing things such as, riding canoes out in the water. They're doing a bunch of stuff off the court. So you don't really know where the focus is. The fact that they bounced back from 18 down to grab that win over a top 5 program is rather impressive and says a lot about this team.
And I also love how they responded, because the first 12 minutes of the game,
easy. Yeah.
When Auburn had the basketball, they didn't know what to do.
Nope.
They couldn't run an offense. And I think some of that had to do with our execution or lack thereof. And a lot of it had to do with Iowa State being locked down, shut down on defense. They're a really good basketball team. Yeah. Iowa State is a really good basketball team. But to me, it's how they adjusted from that. And it was similar to Houston. I don't think it was as dramatic or drastic against Houston. But Iowa State, what they presented on defense gave Auburn a hard time, and they found a way to power through. I think that's the biggest deal, that they rallied from that situation.
No, they were taking away that high screen from Auburn, which that really kind of confused our guards a little bit, because a lot of teams will just kind of let that play out and see what's going to happen. They guarded it really well. Very handsy. They were getting in on Auburn. They were getting in their kitchen a little bit, knocking the ball away, so causing some turnovers. Auburn did make some bad passes, but I think it's because they got a little rushed. I think they wanted to play fast, but I don't think they realized that Iowa State could play just as fast, so it did not match up well. And I was glad their confidence didn't leave them when they came out the second half. They didn't stop shooting. They still were putting the ball up, and shots started to fall. So again, coming from 18 back against a team like that is just kind of unheard of. And then you saw North Carolina do it right after that against Dayton. And so you got a great matchup between North Carolina and Auburn that is set to take place now.
Yeah, no question. So we'll see what they do against North Carolina tonight. Another thing, just real quick about the Iowa State game. Every time Auburn was in this big hole and they would go on a run, get it within 2 or 3, and then Iowa State would answer. And then Auburn would go back on another run, and then Iowa State would answer. Just the mental toughness. I mean, that's almost like giving up a conversion on 3rd and 15 or whatever. Yes. And it's I don't know, they just had so many reasons to not finish, but they did.
And I don't want to say pack it away, but it's got to get mentally taxing when you think, okay, we're finally within striking distance, and then they go on just a 5-0 run. So then you're down 7 again, or you're down 5 again. And so it had to be mentally frustrating and mentally taxing on those guys. And for them to stick it out and do so, I hope we come out of this thing healthy, because do so with Janai getting cramps. That shot on Chad Baker-Mazara's knee looked really bad when it happened. I think it did affect him some of the rest of the game, but he looked to be a little okay by the end of it. Of course, winning not only cures all with fans, winning will cure all injuries too, because Janai, even though he was cramping, wanted to get up and celebrate. So winning does that to somebody.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, hopefully they're feeling okay the rest of the way. So, Ben, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
Auburn Opelika this morning, Monday through Friday. You can catch me 6 to 9. Sports is always just after 7. However, we will be taking Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving off, so keep that in mind.
Good for you.
Other than that, go to aunetwork.com, click on the WANI logo, or go to the Radio Alabama app, and you can see where I am there.
Yep. And yeah, you do a great job. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.